This is an original presentation of sunbeltagnet.com. What's the next big thing in agriculture? Is it big iron or genetics, irrigation or data? Or is it this? Sunbelt AgNet has trumped all over one of the largest farm shows in America, the Sunbelt Ag Expo, to bring home the bacon to the American farmer. Now, from Moultrie, Georgia, it's the 2011 Sunbelt Ag Expo.
Efficiency is a word we hear a lot today, from manufacturing with robotics to multitasking with computers. The word efficiency has a place on today's farms too. From precision fertilizer plant usage systems to more fuel-stingy tractors and farm vehicles to cotton harvesting with onboard module making capacity, today's farms are reducing input costs, leading to cost savings in every production acre. Hi, I'm Sarah Fernandez, and we're going to look at what's what in farming right here at the 34th Annual Sunbelt Ag Expo in Moultrie, Georgia.
Bringing the right size machine to the job is one of the ways Coyote Tractors is defining farm efficiency.
Our target market is a hobby farmer or a weekend farmer, so smaller acreages, and our high-end tractors get a little bit into hay operations, but we're geared towards a smaller operation. Our engines are very fuel efficient, and all of them are diesel, so that helps on economy-wise.
Unlike most of their competitors, Coyote is in the enviable position of controlling most of the process of building its equipment, and that adds value to the Coyote product line.
We've been manufacturing tractors since 1946. We have 30 models and they range from 22 horsepower to 90 horsepower. We're a unique company in the fact that we're vertically integrated. We're one of the few tractor companies out there that manufactures their own engines. We have our own foundry, and we do make all our castings, and we make all our transmission parts. So about 90% of the tractors we manufacture ourselves.
Tell me about the cab. There looks like a lot of vision space.
Yeah, it's actually a very roomy cab, very large compared to the competition. One of the best features is visibility, but all our cabs come with heat, air conditioning, and stereo as standard equipment.
For bigger jobs, Case IH has discovered that more horses means a better outcome in the field.
The reason for the model change was an increase in horsepower, so we put 35 extra horsepower into the machine today. We've got better yields coming through the pipeline all the time, so the farmer needs increased productivity to keep his speed up and maintain his harvest speed with the incoming cotton being much greater than it was just a few years ago. We increased the horsepower, we actually got more fuel efficient. So the 8.7 liter FPT engine actually has increased fuel efficiency over the previous CDC engine that we were running in the 625. And you know, compared to our competition, that's 100 gallons a day in harvest that we are not using, while our competition is using to basically go over the same acres.
When Trent Haggard and the Case IH team do that, they say they're fulfilling their essential promise to America's farmers.
To increase his profit per acre harvested.
Cotton harvesting is a big part of Case's business, and they've improved their combine to address the needs of a product on the rise.
You know, you used to have a module builder, you used to have a bowl buggy, and those were part of your harvest components. You had a much bigger crew as a result that you needed just for harvest needs, and now you don't. You have a machine and a man operating that machine, and they're spitting out fully packed modules, 16-foot modules, 2 handle like one, 2 gin like one, and all you have to do is put a reusable tarp on it and take it to the gin.
When you put it down on a spreadsheet, cotton is still king.
Tom Stallings of the National Cotton Council has seen cotton's fortunes rise over the past few years, and he expects that trend to continue.
The fabric of our lives has really been in the forefront of the consumer.
There's another ag product on consumers' minds and in their mouths. Farmers are flocking to fish, and we'll tell you why straight ahead. Plus, keep your eye out for this fella who's angling to be your next sweater. That story's coming up later as SunbeltAgNet.com presents the Sunbelt Ag Expo.
Every year, Little Moultrie in southwest Georgia swells in population from 28,000 to 100,000. Why? Because in one place you can find the newest innovations in agriculture.
An annual feature at Sunbelt Ag Expo is the Stock Dog Time Trials. Stock dogs are also known as herding dogs. They're the result of selective breeding that's been able to minimize the dog's natural inclination to treat sheep as prey, while simultaneously maintaining the dog's hunting skills to create an effective herding dog, when he's paired with the right human.
The people who are great at it are great trainers, and they train great dogs. And it's a teamwork between the handler and the dog. It's a teamwork, and that's what makes it such a great sport, because you're communicating with the dog at different levels during the competition.
Now let me introduce you to Captain Catfish, mascot of a movement sweeping the planet.
The world is hungry for fish. In fact, it's the most commonly eaten animal protein on earth is fish. It's not beef and it's not pork or chickens, it's fish. Recently, aquaculture has surpassed 50% of the fish supply on earth. 30, 40 years ago it was hardly anything. Didn't make a dent in the fish supply because we still had plentiful fish in the oceans. But once we've reached what we call maximum sustainable yield, we can't catch any more from the ocean without destroying the fish populations, we had to turn to growing the fish. And that's what aquaculture is all about. The Southeast has a particular advantage in the United States because of the climate. Climate, good soils, good water, things like that. Markets are good. And I see that the catfish industry and other aquaculture industries in the Southeast are going to grow and boom.
Fish is the new chicken. No, really. Aquaculture is today what poultry was a half century ago. Bet you're wondering what that means. We talk to the experts.
We grow them in ponds today, but I compare that to growing chickens in the yard chickens. And to be able to deliver to the customers the right size fish of the right quality at the right time, you have to have complete control of the inventory. And that's what the poultry industry did back in the 1950s. They went from yard chickens to poultry houses. They used genetics and improve the quality of the product. We are at that stage now. We have a new system that we've developed. They're raceways, in-pond raceways. We use the pond, but we give direction to the water and move it through the raceways where we have them containerized so we know exactly the size, exactly the growth rate, when they're going to come off and be ready for the consumers so that we give them the best quality product or the best size at the right time.
John Jensen is the guru of aquaculture and professor emeritus from Auburn University. He sees ponds as a tremendous opportunity for farmers, especially in the Southeast.
We import 83% of all the seafood we eat in the United States. That's a huge opportunity. It's something that, with our climate and everything, that's going to leave us open to that possibility. Also, China just became a net importer of fish. They were big exporters, but their middle class is growing so fast that they want more fish, more good quality fish, so they're leaving the fish at home for their own consumers. So that leaves us another opportunity. In fact, the big opportunity is to export to China eventually. So it's getting very exciting here in the Southeast for the aquaculture industry.
Dr. Jensen said the product is good, and all these folks standing in line for a taste of catfish will surely agree. Just try not to let any of that batter spill on Captain Catfish. He might get the wrong idea. Coming up next, we'll take you around the grounds of the 33rd Annual Expo, and a little later, if you're a cream corn lover, have we got a deal for you. Safety and education are key elements of the Sunbelt Ag Expo, and the Electric Membership Co-op is on site this year, reminding folks of the dangers of electricity.
Our message always is, when lines are down, don't play around, and that applies to whether you're a child or you're an adult. We want everybody to be safe and to go home to their families.
That demonstration and everything else at the Expo is under the direction of Chip Blaylock, who configures the Expo every year to meet the challenges of the day.
It's been a real tough year with the drought. You wouldn't know it this week because it's so wet here at Expo, but we have been very, very dry. And it's a real philosophical debate when you are watering crops and your neighbors' wells are going dry and it's drinking water versus irrigating crops. So we're always looking for ways to try to be more and more efficient with our water use.
Beef farmers have felt the effects of the drought too. University of Georgia specialist Lawton Stewart explains how they've addressed the dry conditions.
They'll come up and say, I don't have any grass, what can I feed these cattle? And that's a lot of the calls I get now, is basically coming up with some type of ration, some type of feed program that's going to get those cattle through. One of the things we've done is focusing on byproduct feedings, and what that means essentially is byproduct feeds are a product that comes from another industry. For example, distillers grains comes from the ethanol industry. Cottonseed comes from cotton milling. So we've used these types of feeds that can't be used in other places, and we can use those as feeds for beef cattle.
Growing forage or anything else puts you in Nick Bancroft's bailiwick. Nick is Vice President of Agriculture Liquid Fertilizers, a company that promises a superior outcome that strikes a sustainable nutrient balance.
Responsible nutrient management is a principle that we came up with to really describe what our products do, and that is they get into the plant. Only what is needed gets into the plant. You're not applying things like you would be in dry fertilizers like chlorides or hydroxides that the plant can't utilize.
How does that turn out economically? Do you use the same amount of material as you target it towards the plant, a little bit less? What is the return on investment along those lines?
That's a great question, and what our customers realize is a similar cost per acre to conventional fertilizer products, but they're allowed some application flexibility so they can reduce trips across the field. They often see better quality, lower moisture in grain on harvest, and that can mean big returns to the grower.
We mentioned forage earlier, but Nick says that AgroLiquid has a solution for anything that grows.
Tomatoes, squash, watermelon, citrus.
You name it. Our research farm in Michigan, we grow dozens of different specialty crops in addition to all the field crops that we grow. We also do research throughout the country on specialty crops and row crops.
The folks at Pioneer Seed are battling the drought by improving the seed, with new products scheduled to come south next year.
Actually releasing some what we call Optimum 8 Aquamax, and it is our drought-tolerant genes being released in the western states where drought is persistently a problem, but hopefully coming this next year we will have some Aquamax products for the south.
Those Pioneer scientists better hurry up. The folks at Davies are liable to run out of those hot buttered ears, and then what will we do? Oh, and I promised you a system to make cream corn. Well, here it is, and it's only $170 from Thomas Corn Machine System, which seems a small price to pay for good cream corn. Still ahead, honey, pecans, and those furry creatures that would make a great pair of socks, as SunbeltAgNet.com presents the Sunbelt Ag Expo. If you've got a taste for honey, have we got a deal for you. Fred Rossman of Rossman Aviaries can put you in the bee business, where you'll not only enjoy the sweet, pure taste, but you'll be in really good bee-loving company.
And I think it was Einstein that said if all the honeybees disappeared, that within 4 years man would disappear too, because there'd be no food to eat.
Beekeeping is on the rise in America as one of many hobby farms that the nation is turning to as the economy charts its uncertain course.
When the economy goes down, our business picks up. People turn back to the soil whenever they have hard times with the economy, and we're seeing the benefits of those kind of situations.
Even though less than 2% of Americans make their living from agriculture, there's a growing interest in food production and agriculture among the other 98%.
What we're seeing are the hobby farmers, those who are interested in getting out and working after they've done their full-time job. We're seeing that type of individual get out there trying to feed their family or maybe their neighborhood, to participate to some degree, get the physical exercise, and be responsible for feeding themselves at some level.
Eddie Wells of the USDA charts and analyzes agri-trends. He feels that even with all the challenges, the Southeast is still fertile soil for the farm industry.
How about international trade? What kind of increase have we had in the Southeast with commodities heading overseas?
The Southeast participates in that heavily. As we specialize in so many commodities, we can grow just about anything here. So international markets are key for us to be successful.
And if we're going to export food, we sure ought to export this labor-saving device. The Bag-O-Nut Pecan Picker-Upper for about $350 will sure make it easier to talk Mama into making a pecan pie.
I'm sold. Talk to Moneybags.
There's a money-back guarantee. Let's get one.
There you
go.
What
size do you want?
My grandfather invented it, and my dad and I now own the company, and we've been tweaking it ever since. We sell probably 1,500 to 2,000 machines a year.
Just ahead, my mama's not a llama. Sheep beware, this guy wants your business. You never know what you'll see when you're walking around the Sunbelt Ag Expo, so we weren't really surprised to see Kaya strolling around, but we figured we ought to follow up and find out more about alpacas.
Yeah, we raise them for the fiber, and the things that we have in the store here are all alpaca products. We shear them like sheep once a year, and turn the fiber into yarn that we sell in the store on our farm and different places. But we also import products from Peru and Bolivia and Chile, where the animals come from, and sell that, market that. And they typically do not spit on people. They don't bite. They're very lovable and easygoing animals, easy to take care of. But the most important thing is the fiber is different than wool. It's hollow, and so it's warmer and lighter. It does not have lanolin, and it doesn't have the barbs on it that wool does, so people are not allergic to it for the most part.
All of that and entertainment for the kids to boot. Wonder if they'd get used to a saddle. Maybe next time.
We hope you've enjoyed the show, learned a few things, gained some inspiration, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year.